Part 10. Fantasy, the Empress was reincarnated as my daughter. Author, Daughter Wrong Wrong. Chapter 92. Little bastard. Nangongwen laughed and scolded. Then he began to gradually improve and modify the rules of the entire world. Being able to do this is already very awesome in the fantasy world. One move is supreme, and the color of the world changes with anger. Immortal Divine Phoenix's eyes were full of shock. Although Xiao Ao Tianzun is best at Xingziju, after all, he is still a strong man without a god, just gone. And even if heaven and earth cry, you won't be happy. It doesn't matter if you don't like it, the world really listens to you, and you don't even dare to cry anymore. That's outrageous. Fairy, this is definitely fairy. If I were not an immortal, I would stand on my head and eat shit. The old beggar said excitedly. While begging, he walked towards the nine heavens territory, looking for the path of immortality in the world of mortals. 3 days later, the Divine Phoenix clan. Senior, it has been repaired, but why do you want me to repair this thing? The immortal Divine Phoenix handed Suchang a mysterious shield that exuded vast imperial power. It was made from the tortoise shell of the Black Turtle Emperor. It also added many other precious materials. For this imperial weapon, the immortal Phoenix can be said to have gone all out, without any reservations. Not bad. Suchanga nodded in praise. Being able to refine it into an imperial weapon is the best. If he refines it himself, it may become a godless weapon, and then little Linger won't be able to use it at all. Wouldn't it be embarrassing? There is no divine weapon. Let's refine it for Xiao Linger when she comes into contact with it. Senior, I wonder if seniors know the existence of the immortal realm. The immortal Divine Phoenix asked tentatively. The immortal burning furnace must come from the immortal realm. The lower realm lacks the materials to refine this immortal artifact. So Suchanga must have been to the immortal realm. Immortal Phoenix, do you want to go back? Suchanga smiled slightly. The answer was not what was asked. But the immortal Divine Phoenix's whole body felt like it was struck by thunder, and then fell into sluggishness. Think. The immortal Divine Phoenix replied resolutely. This is the biggest secret of his whole being. He was not originally a native creature of the heaven, but came from a magical world called the immortal realm, and he was the one who met him when he was a child. Arriving at the space rift. Then he appeared in heaven. There has never been a chance to return to the fairyland. Perhaps it would be more appropriate to call him the immortal Phoenix. Senior, do you know how to go back? The immortal Phoenix excitedly grabbed Suchanga's hand. It's hard to imagine that an emperor who had pacified the world and conquered the restricted area for more than 300,000 years would be so shocked. But now, he is so excited that he loses his composure. I have been to the fairyland. If you want to go back, you can come to me, but, if you go back, you will never come back. Suchanga smiled slightly. The immortal Phoenix fell silent. If he goes back, he will never come back. To be honest, he has no feelings for the immortal realm. Forget it, I just wanted to take a look, there was no need to go back. The immortal Divine Phoenix smiled. His family and tribe are all in the heaven. If he returns to the immortal realm, he will not be able to get out, so he will not return to the immortal realm. Okay, that's it, let's go. Suchanga waved his hand and handed the Black Turtle Emperor shield to Sulinger. Then he disappeared in front of the immortal Phoenix. The immortal Divine Phoenix sighed, and then looked slightly serious. He straightened his clothes that were messed up due to excitement, and then his majestic voice echoed through the entire immortal Divine Phoenix clan. All descendants of the immortal Divine Phoenix, listen to this emperor's orders. The immortal Divine Phoenix clan will move outside Duanhun Mountain starting today. The eyes of the immortal Divine Phoenix were filled with fighting intent. Duanhun Mountain is another restricted area of life. Among them are 3 supreme beings. Very scary. Yes. But no one from the immortal Phoenix clan intends to back down, and their eyes are full of high fighting spirit. The Chaos Sea, the restricted area of life that has been fighting for 370,000 years, has been destroyed and turned into the Nine Heavens fire domain, burning forever. The immortal fire burned out. The next step was to level the Broken Soul Mountain. Soon, in just a few days, the immortal Phoenix clan disappeared in the Nine Heavens territory. Nine Heavens fire domain has become a holy place for alchemy cultivation. Countless monks come to worship every day. If they can understand a little bit of the Taoist charm here, their strength will increase dramatically. An old beggar is groping his way forward. This is immortality, the breath of immortality. Fairy fire. The old beggar had tears in his eyes. Looking at the blazing fairy fire in the Nine Heavens fire domain, he once again had a firm will in his heart. Many times, he didn't doubt whether he could become a worldly fairy, but whether there was such a realm as a fairy. Is there a path to immortality? If not, it would be useless for him to pursue it for many years. Now the Nine Heavens fire territory is prosperous and has become the most famous place in the heavens, even more famous than the restricted area of life. The extremely vast sea of chaos actually turned into a field of fire, and all the sea water was evaporated. That is definitely a fairy alive. In the restaurant, a monk sighed. The old beggar was sitting aside and listening. In his hand was the spiritual stone he had just begged for. He happened to have a meal here. Yes. And I heard that the immortal left here a few days ago, and seemed to have gone to the central region. The monk said this. The old beggar's eyes flashed. Immortal, wait for me. The old beggar will go to the central area now. The old beggar's purpose is very simple. Find Suchanga and become his disciple. Even if Suchanga doesn't accept him, he will still stalk him. This opportunity to spy on the path to immortality is really rare. In the Nine Heavens domain, a divine phoenix appeared between heaven and earth and quickly rushed towards the habitat of the divine phoenix clan around the Chaos Sea. It's Huangjug. There are simply not enough inspirations, but in order to help Brother Su, let's go home and get some inspirations. Huangjug thought in her mind. The inspirations Suchanga gave at that time were not enough for the creatures in the lower world. She wanted to go back to Duantianya to get some more, but Suchanga no longer knew where he had gone. Helpless now, I can only go back to the upper realm to get it. I hope I won't be imprisoned by those old antiques in the Divine Phoenix clan, otherwise, I will suffer a big loss. All the points will be earned by that hateful stinking dragon. I come back. Huangjug walked into the original habitat of the Divine Phoenix clan and was momentarily confused. Where is my sycamore tree? Where are my people? Why is the entire Divine Phoenix clan's habitat empty? The pavilions are still there, but it's just deathly quiet, and not a soul can be seen. If it were normal, if she came back, there would definitely be a group of Divine Phoenixes chattering around her. What the hell is going on? Huangjug narrowed his eyes. He had some bad guesses in his mind. Could it be that the Supremes joined forces to cleanse the Divine Phoenix clan? Thinking like this, Huangjug felt heartache, and then he hurriedly turned on his idea and found the people of Jushan domain forum, and then browsed the posts in it. Destroy the Chaos Sea, the immortal comes to the world, and the immortal fire burns everything. The Sea of Chaos has been destroyed, the Supreme is not invincible, and we are not the lambs raised by the Supreme. It is rumored that the senior's surname is Su. Looking at the overwhelming news on the forum, Huangjug was confused again. The Sea of Chaos has been destroyed. What happened? The Divine Phoenix clan has been fighting for 370,000 years in the restricted area of life that has not been pacified. She is planning to continue to fight in the Sea of Chaos after taking over as the clan leader. Just gone? She distributed ideas about the lower world for a while, Why did so many things happen? Wait, a video. Hwangjuk narrowed his eyes and quickly clicked on the very popular video. Burn the chaos and kill the Supreme Being with one strike. The scene in the picture is exactly the scene of the live broadcast at that time. The shot of the immortal phoenix is very well done, perfectly showing Suchanga's strength. With the power of one person, he can defeat the 13 supreme beings and kill them all. At the same time, Xiao Tianzun, who was forced, ran away directly, but fell directly in the process of escaping. Emperor fell. Heaven and earth share the same sorrow. And then, the weather is clear and clear. Hwangjuk was dumbfounded. Isn't that majestic figure none other than Suchanga? I didn't expect Brother Su to be so powerful. I originally thought it was the young emperor, but I didn't expect, it was actually spread as an immortal. Immortal? What countless great emperors in the entire heaven are looking for is called immortal. Now a living immortal appears in front of her, and he even almost became her husband before. The divine phoenix clan is born with divine fire, and the flames all over my body are burning brightly and will never be extinguished, but why do I feel that the flame is extinguished in some places? Hwangjuk breathed out white-hot air. Her face was rosy. Suchanga is too powerful. For a proud and arrogant woman like her, once there is a more powerful man, she can quickly conquer him. Look. Hwangjuk's face turned slightly red and he quickly turned off his spiritual machine. Brother Su went to the central region, while the Divine Phoenix clan went to Duanhun Mountain. Hwangjuk was silent for a while. Then she quickly made her choice. Broken Soul Mountain. Another terrifying restricted area of life. She understood that if her strength was still so rubbish, she would never be able to pursue Su in this life. Changa. Suchanga is an immortal. Among the billions of people in the heaven, he is the only immortal. He is the immortal who has been pursued by countless great emperors through fire and water for nearly 1,000,000 years. Only by becoming stronger can you catch up with Brother Su. Hwangjuk cheered himself up. Then he flew towards the direction of Duanhun Mountain. In the glorious hall of the heavenly palace, two figures wearing bronze masks stared at each other. One black and one white. The clothes are couple clothes, the mask is also, the hairpin on the head, the ring in the hand are all couple clothes. Do you still know to come and see me? Nangong Wen said angrily. He originally thought that this guy would come to see him after he went to the world, but he didn't expect that he would go to the Sea of Chaos. He was having fun, and then he remembered that he... Ahem, isn't there something wrong with me? Suchanga smiled slightly, took off his mask, and then jumped onto Nangong Wen's throne. The two of them were close to each other. What are you doing? Nangong Wen was startled and moved quickly to avoid Suchanga. Dad, what are you doing? I mean, Linger thinks that chair will be more comfortable. Linger flew in the air, tilting her little head and looking at the two playful people. Is my mother the lord of the heavenly palace? Why is it so ungraceful? If not, why is my mother sitting on the throne? Fantasy, the empress was reincarnated as my daughter. Author, Daughter Wrong. Chapter 93. Linger's small face had great doubts. After a while, Nangong Wen and Suchanga calmed down. Ahem, Linger, mother and your father have something to say, and you go to the Tiangong to play around for a while. Nangong Wen smiled softly, and then rubbed Linger's little head. Linger thought for a while. The Tiangong seemed quite beautiful. So he flew out of the hall and wandered around the Tiangong. The entire Tiangong, but nothing can threaten Linger. After Linger left, Suchanga looked at Nangong Wen in confusion, wondering what Nangong Wen wanted to say. You should know very well about King Xiu. Nangong Wen said seriously. Are you referring to the matter of the chaotic body, or the matter of reincarnation? Suchanga wondered. His own daughter, when he checked Su King Xiu's physical condition later, he knew everything about the reincarnation of the empress. However, this was considered a normal reincarnation, and she was just carrying it's just a memory. In other words, Mengpo soup was adulterated. But it's his daughter. She's just a daughter who has awakened the memory of her previous life. It's a matter of reincarnation. Nangongwen picked Suchanga's chin. The daughter's reincarnation is a normal reincarnation, but recently there have been some problems in the heaven. Many souls from outside the realm have escaped into the heaven, and there are also many in the lower world. Nangongwen continued. Suchanga's eyes lit up. He was the time traveler. However, he was not a time traveler, but grew up from a baby who was born. So what are you going to say? Suchanga said doubtfully. These time travelers have only one purpose, and that is for luck. King Xiu, on the other hand, can be said to be the child of luck in this life, a lucky person favored by God, so these time travelers are likely to become obstacles to King Xiu's growth. Suchanga nodded. So King Xiu, the father is him, no one in the immortal world can beat him, and the mother is Nangongwen, who is secretly occupying the heaven with her own will, and has already controlled some of the rules of the heaven. Such a background is already a manifestation of the blessing of great luck. I can't take action against the traversers until I completely possess the will of heaven. Before that, it's up to you to clean up the traversers, Chang Ji. Nangongwen glanced at Suchanga worriedly. Some of these time travelers are rubbish, and some are very strong. She must now fully control the rules of heaven as soon as possible and let herself become the way of heaven. Got it, don't worry, how long do you need? Suchanga nodded. He dared to say that with the novels he read on the platform, none of these time travelers could defeat him. A 10-year-old bookworm is no joke. It will probably take hundreds of thousands of years. During this time, I cannot leave the heavenly palace, so everything depends on you. Nangongwen smiled tenderly and took off her bronze mask. Unparalleled grace. She deserves to be the most talented woman in history. She deserves to be his wife. Don't worry, but King Xiu seems to be stimulated by you. My mentality has changed a lot. It is estimated that I will probably take an invincible path. Suchanga sighed. If you think about it for a moment, the Empress was reincarnated and thought she was about to rise, but her mother turned out to be a super invincible ruthless person who would be irritated by anyone. Invincible road, not bad, King Xiu has this hope. Nangongwen smiled. Forget about King Xiu, just leave everything to me. Good. Then you won't be able to leave the heavenly palace for 100,000 years, and I still have to take care of King Xiu. Then won't we be able to see each other for a long time? Suchanga said with a bad smile. That might be it, but you can come anytime you want. Nangongwen's face turned red. It's been a long time since we last saw each other. What do you want to say? Have another daughter. Suchanga. You little bastard. Outside the main hall of the Tiangong, Linger was looking at the beautiful scenery on the sea of clouds in the Tiangong. While eating the remaining grilled fish, he drank the spiritual wine, which was very nourishing. But suddenly Linger frowned and raised his little ears. Why do you seem to hear a strange sound? The dull hair on Linger's head was swaying, and his eyes were full of confusion. 3 days later, Linger saw Suchanga come out. Daddy, why are you looking so pale? Linger asked nervously. Her little face was full of worry. Ahem, it's okay. This is the first time that Suchanga feels that his power has been consumed so much. Nangongwen. So crazy. His past 3 days and 3 nights were like purgatory, and he was about to be deceived. Suchanga just used his own power to help Nangongwen control 90% of the rules of heaven. That's right. They practiced together. It is estimated that Nangongwen will be able to control all the rules of heaven in less than 10,000 years. Suchanga smiled slightly. Then he put Ling'er on his shoulders and left the heaven. Chang'e, I gave King Su and Ling'er the status of top world sons, and those time travelers will be left to you. Nangongwen's voice spoke to Suchang's heart. Nu. Okay, let's fight together next time. Suchanga quickly ran away with Ling'er. He didn't want to fight anymore. Duan Tianya, an old man suddenly fell from the sky. This little girl, my life is approaching, and this storage ring contains my lifelong inheritance, so I leave it all to you. The old man looked at Su Kingxiu excitedly, blood spurting out, but he still handed Su Kingxiu a storage ring. He could feel that Su Kingxiu was extremely talented. Even the emperor was not Su Kingxiu's upper limit. The corners of Su Kingxiu's mouth twitched slightly. Very skillfully, he took out a pill and handed it to the old man. After the old man swallowed it, his eyes sparkled and his injuries gradually healed. It turned out to be Emperor Dan. Little girl, I remember you and will protect you for the rest of your life. I am the great sage Tianyuan. This is my token. I look forward to seeing you in the future. After the old man finished speaking, he handed over a token, then flew to the upper realm and quickly disappeared from Su Kingxiu's sight. Su Kingxiu sighed. What the hell is going on? On the jade table in the yard, there are already piles of storage rings. Since a few days ago, she suddenly felt that some strange changes had occurred in herself, and then one after another grandpas came to her door. Of course, there is also the old lady. The lowest level is the realm of a saint. An existence that can destroy the galaxy with a single hand. How long will it take me to learn so many exercises? Su Kingxiu sighed. Why does it feel like her luck suddenly started to explode? Is it because of that cheap dad? At the same time, the great Chu dynasty was in the royal city. A young man suddenly opened his eyes. I looked around, with an incredible look in my eyes. He Yiming, actually traveled through time. The young man was a little shocked. Soon his eyes noticed the huge statue directly in the sky in the center of the Chu dynasty. The figure was as rich as jade, and the mask looked like a smile but not a smile. What a character! Could it be, cruel person? That's not right, isn't the cruel person a woman? But this mask really looks like a ruthless person. Ding, the power of faith has been collected, and the system is loaded with 100%. He Yiming was slightly stunned. Then comes ecstasy. Goldfinger. As He Yiming, who is familiar with online novels, he naturally knows what this is. Benefits for time travelers. I just don't know what kind of golden finger this is. Ding, if the host suppresses the Son of Destiny, he can gain destiny points and receive super rewards. When He Yiming heard this, his eyes lit up instantly. He remembered that he had read a book called The Destiny Villain before. This golden finger is exactly the same as that one. System. Come on, who's the first task? Let me remind you, is there any Son of Destiny in the Chu dynasty? He Yiming was extremely excited. You must know that the protagonist of the Destiny Villain is simply his idol. Now that he has obtained such a golden finger, doesn't he want to soar into the sky and capture all the beauties? Ding, since the host is using the system for the first time, the Son of Luck with the lowest difficulty will be selected to start the first plunder. Ding, Su Kingxiu, the Son of Luck. The reborn son of the Emperor of Heaven will go to the Great Chu dynasty in 1 month and embark on the road to invincibility with the Great Chu dynasty as the first stop. Please host suppress Su Kingxiu. If you obey Su Kingxiu's heart, you can even get powerful rewards. He Yiming's eyes are getting more and more serious. The system is really considerate. It even specially selected a child of destiny with the lowest difficulty for him. Unlike other cheating systems, it is a hellish difficulty from the very beginning. Not bad. The Heavenly Emperor's rebirth flow means that she has just been reborn and her cultivation is not very strong yet, which is the time to suppress her. And, if you are unparalleled in beauty, don't blame me. He Yiming showed a lewd smile. He is a time traveler. It's about to begin. Novice rewards are distributed, and the host is rewarded with the blade of grass sword technique. A blade of grass can cut down all the stars in the universe. He Yiming quickly accepted. This system is great. Not only was he thinking about it, but he even got a newbie gift package for him. Blade of grass sword technique. This is a supreme sword technique. Good. Originally, I was a genius of the He family. I was already in the realm of transforming into a dragon. Coupled with the blade of grass sword art, Su Kingxiu was no match for me even if she was the reincarnation of the Emperor of Heaven. He Yiming murmured to himself. Ambition is expanding. And the world. Suchanga and Linger gradually fell from the clouds, and suddenly found that part of their power had been extracted. Where is the power being extracted? Suchanga frowned slightly. Then he calculated in his mind, his spiritual consciousness swept across the whole world, and he soon found the source of the lost power. It was the power of faith. The great Chu dynasty built a statue for me and collected some power of faith. No wonder I can feel it. Suchanga murmured. He only had the power of faith from the Chu dynasty, so he found it immediately after losing it. Etc., stealing the power of my faith, couldn't it be absorbed by the awakening of the time traveler system? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, the Empress was reincarnated as my daughter. Author, Daughter Wrong. Chapter 94. Suchanga immediately became vigilant when he thought of what Nangong Wen had told him about the time travelers entering the heaven and the lower world. He didn't know exactly what the system was. However, his strength has now reached a point where he once searched for his own spiritual sea, but the system seemed to have disappeared inexplicably. Maybe it's because he's already too strong? Daddy, what's wrong? Let's go down. Sister Kingxiu must miss us very much. Xiao Linger pinched Suchanga's cheek. This was the first time she saw her father thinking about something so absorbedly. In normal times, you might just fall asleep after thinking about it for a while. It's okay, let's go. Suchanga smiled. He carried Linger and entered Duan Tianya. As soon as he entered his courtyard, Suchanga was stunned. Damn. What's going on with the storage ring on this table? Have you learned to refine weapons? And it broke through to the shattering void realm. It shouldn't be, a storage ring of this level cannot be refined in the shattering void realm. Suchanga was a little confused. Su Kingxiu looked innocent. Master is like this. Black Dragon Royal Sister Shideo was also a little helpless and told Suchanga what happened. This was the first time she had seen someone with such amazing luck. And he is still his own little master. Grandpa, it was one after another. I keep coming here to give out rings and never stop. An average of 3 or 4 a day. Anyway, they are all seriously injured, for all kinds of random reasons. Is this the perversion of the children of the world? Suchanga looked at the innocent-looking Su Kingxiu and said, This is too perverted. Luck is a very mysterious thing. After all, heaven is ruthless, but now, heaven has almost become Su Kingxiu's biological mother. Got it, so Su Kingxiu's luck naturally skyrocketed. It's okay to clear the snow, this is normal. Suchanga smiled slightly and consoled him. The corners of Su Kingxiu's mouth twitched. Normal. She had never seen anything so outrageous in her entire life. So many grandpas almost scared him. Eat. Suchanga pulled out a small bench made of the sacred sycamore tree. Soon, the black dragon maid sat down on a large table with all kinds of dishes. Suchanga was a little surprised. It seems that the black dragon maid has been I have studied cooking carefully, and now the food is very fragrant, and there is a kind of power brewing in it. Daddy. At the dinner table, Su Kingxiu opened her mouth tentatively, with a little tangle on her pink face. What's wrong? Is there anything you can't say about being a father? Su Chang'e smiled slightly. I want to go out and practice, but my potential growth rate is too slow. Su Kingxiu said nervously. She knew very well how much Su Chang'e doted on her, but it was precisely because of this doting that she was afraid that Su Chang'e would refuse her request to go out for training. How do you plan to practice? Su Chang'e muttered. Experience is certainly good, and Su Kingxiu is already in the Broken Void realm now, so she can go out and practice. But, with Su Kingxiu's talent, it seems a little too abnormal. It is estimated that no one in this lower world can beat her for a long time. There has to be a way. If I have some experience, I plan to, the genius who challenges all the forces in the world. Take an invincible path. Su Kingxiu's eyes were extremely firm. She once thought that her way forward was to return to the Wushuan divine dynasty and take revenge. But now, after seeing how tyrannical her father and mother are, the Wushuan divine dynasty is just a small goal on her way forward. Saint, great emperor, supreme, she wants to be invincible in every realm. The road to invincibility. Did you know that invincibility is not only invincible among people of the same age, but also invincible at the same level? Su Chang'e squinted his eyes, paused slightly, took a sip of spiritual wine, and then said, on the road to invincibility, even if a being appears in the eternal river of time, you must be invincible. Su Kingxiu's pupils narrowed. She got it? The road to invincibility is to be invincible in the world and to be invincible in history. The last person who claimed to be invincible was your mother, who was known as the most amazingly talented and beautiful woman in history. I hope you can do it. Su Chang'e sighed slightly. He has high expectations for Su Kingxiu. Invincibility is easy to say, but extremely difficult to do. Even a person as stunningly talented as the immortal Phoenix dare not say that he is invincible forever. Do your best. Su Kingxiu smiled slightly. In this life, her parents are so tyrannical, and she is a chaotic body. If she is not invincible, it would be a shame for her origin and talent. Okay, I'll give you a helping hand as a father. Su Chang'e smiled mysteriously. Then he turned on his idea and posted a message from the forum. I want to open the road to the stars and choose the invincible genius in the 33 heavens. Billions of geniuses are only looking for one person to pass on the mantle, hoping that you can defeat me in the future and become truly invincible throughout eternity. The username is the ancestor of 10,000 Deos. Immortal Phoenix was the first to leave a message. Because he and Su Chang'e were added as personal friends at that time. Senior Su, can the godless realm enter the invincible battle on the starry sky ancient road? Yes, even a true immortal can enter this ancient starry sky road. The entire upper world is boiling. One great emperor was awakened by the descendants, and the powerful men of the godless realm appeared one after another. In the 33 realms, countless ancient auras rose into the sky. An immortal set up a trap the starry sky ancient road. The immortal Phoenix called him, Senior Su. Senior Su, who destroyed the 13 supreme beings of the Chaos Sea in 3 minutes, and turned the Chaos Sea into the 9 heavens fire domain. It turned out to be Senior Su's account. Countless monks were excited with their inspiration. But then Su Chang'e released the news again. The starry sky ancient road will be designed with countless secret realms and levels. In each level, there are countless secrets left by me. Then Su Chang'e entered the book pavilion and took a photo of the second layer jade slips and the third layer emperor's scripture. Then he took a picture of all the immortal scriptures and artifacts he found in the immortal world. These photos were placed in the forum, instantly caused an uproar again. These jade slips, the complete 9 secrets, the true dragon method that has been lost for 300,000 years, the unparalleled method, and the imperial scriptures on dozens of bookshelves. Immortal weapon. The immortal burning furnace is also inside. Damn it! What is Senior Su doing? Is it just to choose a disciple? Countless monks were shocked. This time on the starry sky ancient road, any genius will have a chance. When you reach the end of the ancient road, you will compete with the Supreme Emperor, and there will even be people with extraordinary talents entering the immortal road. And after the starry sky ancient road, there is the immortal road. All the geniuses in the eternal river of time will be waiting for you there. 3 months later, the starry sky ancient road will be opened. I hope you will win the name of eternal invincibility. Suchanga smiled slightly and put away his idea. The 33 heavens realm was completely boiling. From the weak cultivators, to the Supreme Emperor, and even the Supreme Being who was on the verge of a true immortal in the restricted area, everyone's heart was moved. The heaven has become more prosperous than ever before. The sleeping Supreme, Ancient Emperor and Great Emperor have all awakened, and one after another the Emperor's sons, divine bodies and even holy bodies have appeared from the special divine source. Everyone is waiting. The ancient road in the starry sky 3 months later. This is an opportunity for everyone. Countless supreme beings are excited, and the fairy road that has not been seen for millions of years is about to appear in front of them in this form. Suchanga's name is also passed down all over the upper world. 3 months to open the lower realm, otherwise you are not qualified to enter the starry sky ancient road. Suchanga stared at Su Kingxiu. Su Kingxiu also saw the content on the forum. There was a flash of determination in his eyes. It would be difficult to get through the lower realm in 3 months, but it was definitely not impossible. And, Su Kingxiu understood Suchanga's good intentions very well. Thank you, Daddy. It was the first time Su Kingxiu was so moved. Suchanga actually built an ancient road in the starry sky just for her, and even gave away so many precious opportunities. It's really a bit too expensive. It will never come back. Come on, as a father, I also hope you can succeed. Suchanga smiled slightly. Those things were of no use to him at all. He had snatched them all. And after all, if Su Kingxiu succeeds, those Taoist scriptures, imperial weapons and immortal weapons will all belong to Su Kingxiu. It's not a loss either. Moreover, when the starry sky ancient road opens, all the talented sons of great fortune will enter the starry sky ancient road, and those who travel through it will also go, and they will be exposed by then. Even a newly ascended monk can sense something is wrong with things like soul penetration. At that time, if the time traveler is not attacked by all the geniuses in the upper world, there will be no need for him to take action at all. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Perfect. Then start from tomorrow, 3 months is enough for you to become immortal. Su Kingxiu smiled slightly. The aura of a supreme empress suddenly appeared. Her invincibility was truly established from this moment on. Eat, this is the last time to eat such a good dish, I will make you some more as a father. Suchanga packed a lot of dishes for Su Kingxiu, and then went to the kitchen. Su Kingxiu forced to hold back her moved tears. She only felt that the tip of her nose was sore. Sister, come on. I mean, although Ling doesn't know what her sister is going to do, she will always support her. Ling threw herself into Su Kingxiu's arms and rubbed her. And this, bring it to your sister. Sister, you must work hard. Ling hesitantly took out his little wine gourd and reluctantly gave it to Su Kingxiu. Then he stretched out his little hand and touched Su Kingxiu's head. This made Su Kingxiu's nose feel sore again. Wait until tomorrow, walk out of Duan Tianya, and from the recent Great Chu dynasty started, challenging the younger generation all the way, and overturning the whole world. Su Kingxiu enjoyed that meal. Even if it was the first time to eat barbecue, she did not feel it was so delicious. 3 days later, in the Chu dynasty, a little girl with pink and jade sculptures walked on the road of the capital. The royal family of the king of Chu is probably the first target. We have a history with you, so I won't kill you. The Academy of Chu State is said to be the occasion when the geniuses of Chu State gather together. Su Kingxiu looked at the majestic academy in front of her. Her heart was agitated. This is the first stop. The moment Su Kingxiu entered the academy, He Yiming's expression changed deep in the academy. Ding, the destined daughter Su Kingxiu has entered the Chu Academy. Fantasy, the empress was reincarnated as my daughter. Author, Daughter Wrong. Chapter 95. He Yiming's eyes condensed. The whole body was trembling with aura, and there seemed to be golden light flickering between the opening and closing of his brows. Many disciples around him were startled. This is the genius of the He family of the great Chu dynasty. He is a genius to begin with. In these few days, Tian even made rapid progress, and directly ranked first in Chu Academy with his terrifying swordsmanship. Chief. His terrifying strength made the disciples of Chu Academy breathless. Even the third prince was defeated by him. The system suppresses the son of destiny to obtain luck. What kind of suppression method is it? He Yiming asked. To report back to the host and suppress the son of destiny, you can adopt disciples, get married, or use some villain methods. In short, the core is to transfer the energy of the son of destiny to the host. He Yiming's eyes lit up after hearing this. In this case, all the sons of destiny will be killed, and the daughters of destiny will be killed. Hey. Formal service. He likes little Lolita who are 4 or 5 years old the most. Duan Tianya, Su Kingxiu came to fight the Chu Kingdom Academy. Although Su Kingxiu's voice was not loud, it had this inexplicable power that reached the ears of everyone in the Chu dynasty. At the same time, a shocking momentum burst out from her body, and the plaque of the Chu Academy was directly break into pieces. What? Someone from Duan Tianya. Mr. Mo walked out of the academy and his eyes instantly fell on Su Kingxiu. It's you. Mr. Mo was shocked. How long has passed? Su Kingxiu has already reached the shattering realm. She's only 4.5 years old. 4.5 years old of the shattering realm. What's going on in this world? Senior Su's daughter is really a little monster. When such a monster enters the world, I don't know what kind of shocking waves it will cause. Alas, Kingxiu, among your peers in the academy, no one can beat you, so go away. Mr. Mo sighed and waved his hand. Who can beat Sugzu, who is 4.5 years old? He was still playing with a rattle when he was 4.5 years old. He is someone else's child. Among peers? Anyone can fight under the sun and moon. Su Kingxiu said coldly. Although she is smaller now, she still has an invincible heart. Shameless talk. Before Mr. Mo could speak, a disciple jumped out and charged towards Su Kingxiu. But as soon as he took a step past Mr. Mo, he was directly suppressed by Su Kingxiu's aura and vomited blood. With a bang, he fell to the ground. On the ground. It turns out that it was Mr. Mo who resisted Su Kingxiu's momentum all along. The disciples were amazed. A flash of disappointment flashed in Su Kingxiu's eyes. The first stop, the Chu dynasty, was really boring. Sure enough, the talents and strength of the monks in the lower realm are incomparable to those in the upper realm. Who challenges my great Chu Academy? He Yiming smiled slightly and walked out. The aura around him suddenly reached the peak of Lingyun realm. He is only one step away from entering the sun and moon. For He Yiming, Su Kingxiu came to the door by herself, and she was also a pretty little Lolita, then don't blame him for being rude. After all, she is the daughter of destiny who is rated as having the lowest difficulty level by the system, so she can be defeated easily. What he wants to think about is how to incorporate it into his future work. It's the chief of the academy who is here. Chief He Yiming. A sudden rise of genius. These days, he is also known as the monk most likely to ascend to the upper world in the Chu dynasty for thousands of years. The disciples were shocked. Su Kingxiu's eyes narrowed slightly. This He Yiming is full of weirdness and incongruity, too strange. Su Kingxiu couldn't help but use her spiritual sense to detect He Yiming. The He Yiming in front of him looks very tyrannical and powerful, but in fact he has weak qi and blood, and there is a high mismatch between spiritual consciousness and body. In Su Kingxiu's eyes, He Yiming's soul and body are completely two people. Weird. She has seen this situation many times. It is very similar to a body snatching, but there are some subtle differences, so she killed all the monks she met back then. Snort. He Yiming's eyes moved slightly, and he stepped out. Do you know what Tao is? The so-called Tao can be Tao. He Yiming smiled. His aura suddenly became unpredictable, and he stood with his hands behind his back, looking like a master. But before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Su Kingxiu. Road to road, very avenue. The corner of Su Kingxiu's mouth twitched slightly. She thought this guy could say something profound and unfathomable. It turned out to be the sentence. A monk as weird as He Yiming once said such words to her, which made her mysterious, and also led to the avenue. But when I asked him to explain, he couldn't explain it, and then, just cut it down. How do you know? Do you also wear it, are you master's disciple? He Yiming's pupils shrank sharply and he was shocked. He almost told him that he was a time traveler. Damn it! How could a monk from another world know this? Could it be that I have been to this world before? Yes. I am that kind of character is extremely terrifying, and he can destroy endless worlds with just one thought. It is very possible that the orthodoxy has been left in this world. Then I got it accidentally by this girl of luck. After all, she is the daughter of luck. With the blessing of luck in the world, it is not impossible to obtain Laozi's Tao Te Ching. Good. Then do you know what a sword is? He Yiming smiled enigmatically again. You have heard of Lao Tzu's Tao Te Ching, but I'm afraid you haven't heard of the fact that a sword can defeat no sword in your heart. A mere native actually fights with himself. Ridiculous. With the novels he read in his previous life and the various tricks he said, he didn't fool you around. He Yiming seems to have seen the scene where Su Kingxiu was tricked by him into becoming his fangirl, and then became one of his queens. What is a sword? Su Kingxiu frowned slightly. This sentence really stopped her. But she remembered that she had seen it in a book in her father's library. A sword is a murderous weapon. If someone tells you about a sword, it's his friend, or he is better than having a sword without a sword in his hand. That's all nonsense. It's true. He Yiming stood with his hands behind his back, his sword intent bursting out. Although he didn't have a sword in his hand, with a single stroke, the terrifying sword intent condensed. He came out and cut a giant tree in half. After doing all this, He Yiming looked at Su Kingxiu with satisfaction. He said lightly. There is a sword in my heart, and the falling flowers and flying leaves are all sword blades. He Yiming's move directly shocked all the academy disciples. He is indeed the swordsmanship genius of Da Chu Academy. This kind of swordsmanship understanding is beyond the times. It is mysterious, and you have to understand and ponder the true meaning. He. Su Kingxiu couldn't help but sneer. Condensing sword intent and wielding it, any sword cultivator in the upper world can do this. Those who don't have sword intention don't even dare to call themselves sword cultivators. In the lower realm, it was openly used to show off and deceive, and a bunch of monks even began to understand this kind of thing. That's outrageous. Sure enough, Dad was right, the lower realm is the novice village. What are you laughing at? Could it be that his words made the girl realize something? Are you so happy? Why don't you let he take the girl to practice sword practice together? When He Yiming said this, a hint of obscenity flashed in his eyes, which was well hidden. But what kind of person is Su King Xiu? Naturally make-eyed in the heart. Furious. Damn it! I am still just a little girl now. If you have evil intentions, you will only cheat and cheat. I will die. Su King Xiu pointed the sword across. The 10,000 transformation sword technique was activated at will, and the terrifying sword intent was like a mountain, directly suppressing He Yiming's body. Boom! He Yiming knelt directly on the ground, his whole body was limp, and his bones were cracked. No resistance. Damn it! Your uncle, the system, didn't you say that this is the Destiny's Child with the lowest difficulty? Why is the strength so terrifying? Avoid shattering realm, directly crossing 2 levels to suppress me, do you think this is an easy difficulty? He Yiming collapsed. The system of this grass pill directly tricked him. He frantically wanted to use the grass sword technique, but there was no way at all. Under the suppression of Su King Xiu's terrifying sword intent, his sword intent could not be mobilized at all. Grass mud horse. The system tricked me. Ding, report back to the host, there are 3 destiny sons in this world, and Su King Xiu is the easiest one. Let it go. He Yiming couldn't help but cursed. Feeling that his life force was rapidly passing away, he really panicked. Report back to the host, the system will not lie. What about the other 2? Why didn't you prompt me in the first place? The other 2 are Su King Xiu's parents. If the system detects them rashly, they will be discovered. Draft Master. He Yiming cursed angrily. Damn. This family of 3 is the destiny of this world, fear. How did he come to such a difficult world? But the chance to travel again is gone. He Yiming's neck crooked and he lost his voice. Damn it! Su King Xiu withdrew her terrifying sword intention, her little face covered with frost. This He Yiming has evil intentions. Moreover, it seems that another soul has taken over He Yiming's body, and the soul and body are not high enough to match each other. This, Ms. Su. Mr. Mo was stunned. Chief, just die. The hope of the new generation of Chu state. Just die. If someone seizes the house, if you don't believe me, check it out yourself, or go tell your dad. Su King Xiu shook her head. Sure enough, when Suchanga was mentioned, Mr. Mo immediately didn't want to ask any more questions. He carefully checked He Yiming's coffin. The spiritual platform was not damaged, so it didn't look like he had been seized, but his soul and body turned out to be completely different. Old Mo's heart trembled. What is going on? Maybe it's some kind of advanced method of seizing a body. Now that I'm gone, maybe only Zhongzhou can have the talent to fight with me. Su King Xiu sighed. Why does she feel like she is so cold at a high place? But she understands that this is all an illusion. If she is placed in the upper realm, even if she is a chaotic body, she cannot be said to be invincible. Over the millions of years in the upper world, so many geniuses have been born. Everyone who can become an emperor is not a simple character. Those people are her final opponents. Fantasy, the empress was reincarnated as my daughter. Author, Daughter Wrong. Chapter 96. After bidding farewell to the Chu dynasty, Su King Xiu walked all the way to Zhongzhou. Just relying on walking. Traveling thousands of miles. Su King Xiu's state of mind is rapidly improving, and she will soon reach the realm of dragon transformation. The Chu dynasty, in the imperial palace. He Yiming's body has been moved here. A bunch of elders from the Chu dynasty looked around He Yiming's body. This kind of method similar to seizing a body was really scary. Everyone thought it was the original He Yiming and didn't notice anything unusual. If Su King Xiu hadn't brought it up, they might still be kept in the dark. What a scary swordsmanship! Supreme Elder Chu Tian said in shock. Blood was already seeping out of his hands. Just because he had just touched Chu Tian's body, he was injured by the sword energy remaining in the body. He is a strong man who is halfway to the realm of immortality. Elders, He Yiming's soul is indeed extremely inconsistent with his body, and, according to the servants of the He family, He Yiming was poisoned to death by his own brother 3 days ago. The corners of Chu Tian's mouth twitched slightly. But in a big family, this kind of poisoning is considered normal. In other words, this He Yiming is not a strong man who seizes the body, but his soul is abnormal. That's outrageous. Emperor Chu was slightly startled when he saw this. The sword intent that can hurt the Supreme Elder. Is she still the little lowly holding a big sausage a while ago? Why did he suddenly become a peerless swordsman? Then bring the body. Before Chu Tian finished speaking, a figure appeared in front of him out of thin air. The white clothes look like snow, the face is as clear and graceful, and the spirit is as rich as jade. His Senior Su. The Supreme Elder quickly bowed and saluted, and others also knelt down on the ground. But a spiritual power directly stopped them from kneeling down. Please give He Yiming's body to Su. Suchanga moved his fingertips slightly and immediately collected He Yiming's body. Then he explained to everyone, this kind of non-body taking soul can be called an extraterrestrial demon. If you find someone suspected of being like He Yiming, you can tell Su directly. After Suchanga finished speaking, he and Emperor Chu added a clever friend. Just contact Su directly using Lingji. Suchanga smiled slightly. In the past few days, he and Nangong Wen carefully studied the reasons for the sudden increase in travelers. They estimated that there was a powerful existence hiding in the dark, trying to engulf the heaven, because every time one entered the heaven, with the souls of those who have traveled to another world, Nangong Wen's control over the way of heaven will be reduced a little. As Nangong Wen's man, Suchanga feels that he needs to target these travelers, and then find out the mastermind behind it. A lesson. That's it, don't panic, the number of such extraterrestrial demons is still very rare, at least there won't be too many in the lower realm. After Suchanga finished speaking, he disappeared in front of everyone. Extraterrestrial demons, alas, forget it, this kind of thing is not something that small characters like us can deal with. If you find it, report it in time, and then I will tell Senior Su. Huang Chu said this, and then took out his inspiration. Then he opened it and saw. Suchanga's nickname is actually the ancestor of all ways. Emperor Chu was stupid. Everyone was stunned. Emperor Chu. What's wrong? What happens? The Supreme Elder Chu Tian called anxiously, and at the same time he was about to use spiritual power to penetrate Emperor Chu's body. Seeing Emperor Chu suddenly become dazed, he thought Emperor Chu was invaded by the so-called extraterritorial demon. Fortunately, Emperor Chu woke up quickly. Elder, look. The Emperor of Chu showed the idea to the Supreme Elder. The Supreme Elder was also stupid. Dao ancestor is on. Pay homage to Chu Tian. Taoist ancestor is above, accept. Immediately afterwards, all the senior officials of the Chu dynasty knelt on the ground and muttered something. Wisps of luck were linked to Suchanga's body. Zhongzhou. Immortal Holy Land. Luo Yushin opened his eyes fiercely. Am I traveling through time? Luo Yushin was a little unbelievable, but he quickly accepted the fact of time travel. Then a strange memory came to his mind. He was a supreme elder in the immortal Holy Land. He was very powerful. He was a half-step immortal. He could live in the lower world. It is said that he is almost invincible. But in the upper world, he is just a scumbag. There is even a great emperor in the upper world. It is really a terrifying fantasy world. Luo Yushin sorted out his memory. Any fantasy world with the realm of the great emperor is absolutely powerful. But this is better, which means that he has more room to rise. After all, he is a time traveler. A time traveler, but they all have their own golden fingers. Then, a mechanized voice sounded, but there was a faint emotion in this mechanization. It was like the voice was deliberately made cold and ruthless. But Luoyushin was excited now and didn't notice this detail. Ding, congratulations to the host, the system will become stronger if you gain a disciple. Release the main quest. Main mission, recruit a disciple with a talent of 7 stars or above. Novice reward, Eye of Talent, which can check the talent of any monk and give a grade rating. Warning, do not use your gifted eyes to observe powerful people, otherwise you will be discovered and be killed. Luoyushin quickly understood the functions of the system and accepted the novice gift package. In this apprenticeship system, as long as you accept apprentices and let them become stronger, you can get powerful rewards. Disciple. Xiao Luo, come to master. Luoyushin's mind moved, and he suddenly remembered that he still had an apprentice, so he summoned the apprentice directly. Soon, Xiao Luo came here. Xiao Luo, the candidate saint son of the immortal Holy Land, has reached the Xingyu realm. Practicing the 5 elements destruction method, he can fight even the strongest in the Xingyu peak. If nothing unexpected happens, Xiao Luo will definitely come out on top in the Holy Sun War a month later and become a new generation of saints in the immortal Holy Land. Sun. Eyes of Talent, Urge. Luoyushin activated the Eye of Talent without hesitation. Because he knew that his disciple was not stronger than him. Ding, the Eye of Talent test is completed. Disciple, Xiao Luo. Talent, 7 stars. Kung Fu, Grade 5 Elements Destruction Technique. Luoyushin was pleasantly surprised. He didn't expect that the disciple he brought with him was a 7-star genius. He immediately completed his first main mission. What an unexpected surprise. Sure enough. The time traveler is the real child of destiny. The other children of luck are all fake. Ding, congratulations to the host for completing the main mission. Reward, Grade 5 Elements Destruction Magical Power. Reward, Talent Sharing. Talent sharing, the host will enjoy the same talents as the disciple. Luoyushin's eyes were filled with ecstasy again. Damn it! God start! This is so cool. I guess he is the protagonist of a long Aotian-style fantasy novel. He completed the main mission directly after he came up. My own talent has also skyrocketed to 7-star talent. Newly released main quest. Main mission, Disciple Xiao Luo defeats all enemies in the election of the Holy Sun. Warning, if the disciple loses, the system will automatically unbind. Luoyushin secretly wrote down this task. It seems that the system of becoming stronger by accepting disciples is actually very simple. That is to recruit extremely talented disciples, and then release some main tasks to make the disciples famous, increase their strength, and become stronger themselves. What's wrong? Master. Xiao Luo was a little confused. His master called him over and didn't say anything. He just kept looking at him. It was really strange. Moreover, his master's facial expression was extremely uncoordinated. Like a marionette. However, master is usually quite strange, so Xiao Luo didn't take it to heart. Ahem, it's okay. Master will teach you the 5 elements destruction supernatural power. Practice well and be sure to win the position of Holy Sun. Luoyushin flicked his fingers slightly. A stream of light poured into Xiao Luo's mind. The Great 5 Elements Destruction Divine Power. Even in the upper realm, it can be said to be a top-notch magical power. If the practice reaches the extreme, the 5 elements will merge into the 5 Elements Destruction Divine Light. And even has the potential to become an emperor. Thank you Master. Disciple will definitely live up to Master's high expectations. Xiao Luo's eyes were full of surprise, and then he kowtowed heavily. Go for it. Luoyushin waved his hand and drove Xiao Luo away. he was still immersed in the pleasure brought by the golden finger. Next, if he wanted to accept a disciple, he would have to make a choice. After all, he had read many novels in his previous life. What kind of protagonist is the protagonist of the break-up engagement genre, the protagonist of the loser genre? This kind of apprentice may not have a high star rating at the beginning, but after a period of time, his talent will skyrocket. It would be best to recruit more female apprentices, he pink and tender, it would be best if it is a little Lolita. Luo Yushin smiled. 1 month later, Su Kingxiu walked to Zhongzhou, walking all the way from the southern border, and experienced life and death countless times. No one in the same realm can beat her, but those monsters are merciless, beating the young to the old. Countless lives and deaths have made Su Kingxiu more determined to be invincible, and there is no trace of childishness on her face. The whole person's temperament is like an unsheathed sword. The realm has reached the realm of mountains and seas, which is the king level, and everything in the holy art of 10,000 transformations has begun to transform towards magical powers. Su Kingxiu murmured in her heart. In front of her is the immortal Holy Land. During the election of the Holy Son of the immortal Holy Land, all outsiders are strictly prohibited from entering the Holy Land. A disciple stopped Su Kingxiu. This disciple saw that Su Kingxiu was so young, so he didn't take action directly. If it were other outsiders, he would take action to suppress it. Sun election? Is the sun strong? Su Kingxiu asked doubtfully. That's natural. All the geniuses from the entire immortal Holy Land will participate in this competition. The disciple explained. Then I will participate. This disciple was a little surprised. Seeing that Su Kingxiu was so calm at such a young age, he couldn't help but look at her seriously. But this is against the rules. Only people from the immortal Holy Land can participate. See if these have the tokens of your ancestors. Su Kingxiu took out a storage ring and opened it. There was a crashing sound. Hundreds of powerful tokens fell to the ground. These were given by those old grandfathers. In Duan Tianya, there was an old man giving me a gift, and I also met a lot of old people on the way. Hiss. The disciple took a deep breath, he was completely stunned. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, the Empress was reincarnated as my daughter. Author, Daughter Wrong. Chapter 97. Go look for it and see if any of them belong to your ancestor. Su Kingxiu said this, her pretty face was slightly cold and very cold. Okay. The gatekeeper disciple was so dumbfounded that he came to his senses and hurriedly searched through the pile of tokens. Venerable Haoang, Great Sage Jiantian, Great Sage Puchuo, these are the tokens of some characters. The gatekeeper took a deep breath. Then he quickly found a token called Tianyuan. There were 4 big characters engraved on it. Great Sage Tianyuan. This is the Great Sage Tianyuan, isn't he the ancestor of our everlasting Holy Land? This gatekeeper disciple was lucky enough to see the portrait of the patriarch once, so he was very impressed by the patriarch. It is said that the great sage Tianyuan founded the immortal Holy Land and ascended to the upper world not long after. Just wait a minute, I'll report it to the boss. The gatekeeper disciple said this. Then he turned around and walked inside, but before he walked for a long time, a figure fell from the sky. The leader, Xiao Ran. There's no need to look for it, this is indeed the ancestor's token, let her in. Xiao Ran nodded. He looked at Su Kingxiu and was shocked. He was wearing a shocking sword spirit. Although his momentum was restrained, he was like a dragon lurking in the abyss. At the same time, his bone age was less than 5 years old, but his realm had already reached the realm of mountains and seas. What kind of monster is this? Xiao Ran's heart was burning. This is definitely the apprentice received by his ancestor, otherwise he would never be such a monster. With this kind of talent, even in the upper world, one can dominate a heaven. Xiao Ran sighed in his heart. Then he led Su Kingxiu into the immortal Holy Land. Little girl, you came to the immortal Holy Land to learn from a teacher. Walking on the road, Xiao Ran asked. Su Kingxiu shook her head. Then you want, seeking treasure? No. What's that for? Xiao Ran was very curious. What was the purpose of such a talented monster coming to the immortal Holy Land with his ancestors' token? Come hit someone. Su Kingxiu responded lightly. Xiao Ran was a little confused. What does this mean, come and beat someone? Who to hit? Little girl, hitting someone is not a good habit. Xiao Ran shrugged and wanted to persuade. But Su Kingxiu was already looking at the continuous halls in the immortal Holy Land with great interest. There are too few people who can be called geniuses. Su Kingxiu sighed. Among these disciples in the hall, except for one who practices the 5 elements method, the others are too hot. Why do you dare to spy on us with your spiritual sense? A loud shout rang out in the disciple hall. Although it is in the Holy Land, the disciple hall is the place where disciples practice and live daily. It is strictly forbidden to use spiritual sense to detect other people. What's more, the Holy Sun competition is about to take place now. Su Kingxiu said lightly, walking towards the deepest part of the disciple hall. The terrifying vast sword intent burst out. Plop! Plop! Following Su Kingxiu's pace, all the disciples who came within a certain range of her were directly suppressed to the ground. The scene was very shocking. This little girl, what kind of monster is he? Is he the reincarnation of an ancient power? Why is it so powerful? Xiao Ran felt that his whole body was not well. What kind of evil genius is this? The sword intention alone is so terrifying that it is unimaginable. It is outrageous for a king-level monk in the mountain and sea realm to have a sword intention that is comparable to the immortal realm. And seeing that Su Kingxiu doesn't have a spiritual sword in her hand at all, she's probably not a sword cultivator. A sword cultivator is just an assistant. The great 5 elements destruction dharma, come out and fight. Su Kingxiu stood with her hands behind her back and said coldly. Behind her, countless disciples were lying on the ground, trembling, unable to say anything after being suppressed by the sword. What kind of evil genius is this? They all have this idea in their hearts. Alas! Who are you? Come to challenge the throne of the Holy Sun. Xiao Luo slowly walked out of the disciple hall, his appearance impressive. But his brows were furrowed. The little girl in front of him was a little too strong. Chief, what's going on? Xiao Luo looked at Xiao Ran behind Su Kingxiu. Xiao Ran was a little helpless. All disciples obey the order and defeat Su Kingxiu. Xiao Ran's voice resounded throughout the Holy Land. He finally understood that this little girl Su Kingxiu is here to beat people. In other words, challenge. He remembered that his ancestor said that there is a way to be invincible in the upper world, and one is invincible among peers. Invincible in the same realm, even invincible in the world. Still invincible through the ages. Could it be that Su Kingxiu, is this the path to invincibility? This is a bit too scary. One by one, the disciples rushed towards Su Kingxiu, but they were all suppressed by the sword and fell to the ground. The best one rushed in front of Su Kingxiu and was taken away by a sword. In the entire immortal Holy Land, you are the only one that interests me. It's really strange that the great 5 elements destruction method has been developed into a magical power. Su Kingxiu narrowed her eyes. The method of destroying the 5 elements is spread in the lower world, which corresponds to a precious magical power in the upper world, the magical power of destroying the 5 elements. If Xiao Luo himself realized the method of destroying the 5 elements and turned it into a magical power, then this kind of understanding, comparable to the innate Tao body. Yeah? That's my honor. Xiao Luo bowed slightly, and then 5 elements of divine light appeared between his 5 fingers, each with terrifying power. Boom! The great 5 elements destroying magical power. Although it has not yet turned into the 5 elements destroying divine light, the separated 5 elements divine light is already very terrifying. The terrifying divine light poured out, but it was neither painful nor itchy when it hit Su Qingxiu's body. Su Qingxiu even waved her hand, and all the 5 elements of destruction light disappeared. With a one-hua sword technique, Xiao Luo fell directly to the ground. No ability to resist at all. How is this going? Su Qingxiu was confused. Logically speaking, she shouldn't be so weak. If she realized the great 5 elements destruction magical power, not to mention being able to defeat her directly, but at least she should be able to survive a few moves. Why is she being defeated directly now? Already? It's not like I realized it myself, it's more like it was instilled by others. Strange. There is no problem with the soul. Is it because of the unexpected encounter? Su Qingxiu also specifically detected Xiao Luo's soul. She found that Xiao Luo's soul matched her body perfectly, and there was nothing strange about it. Master Xiao, if there are no stronger disciples, I will leave. Su Qingxiu said. But at this moment, a man rushed over. It was Luo Yushan. At the same time, Luo Yushan's ears were filled with prompts from the system one after another. Ding, your disciple Xiao Luo is in critical condition. Ding, your disciple Xiao Luo is in critical condition. Ding, there is a peerless genius around. Ding, there is a peerless genius around. The system kept prompting, which made Luo Yushan's brain explode. He had originally traveled through time, and had not fully mastered his strength. He was practicing latent cultivation when he suddenly heard the system's prompt. After that, he flew away in a hurry. He told him the location of his disciple Xiao Luo. But halfway, he reminded himself that he had found a peerless talent. Grass. Stop reminding me. I'm so annoyed. Luo. Yushan cursed angrily. The system prompt tone disappeared immediately. Unparalleled genius, what star rating is that? Luo. Yushan asked. After a moment of silence, the system replied, and the voice was still mechanical. The host is asked to check with his/her own gifted eye. Although it was a mechanized voice, it actually contained a little resentment. Luo Yushan thought he had heard it wrong, so he didn't think much about it. He activated his spiritual power and instantly fell in front of his disciple Xiao Luo. Elder Luo, you are here. Xiao Ran smiled. Then he took a step forward and protected Su Qingxiu. Although Su Qingxiu hit someone, she was holding the patriarch's token. And Luo Yushan, the supreme elder, was extremely protective of his shortcomings. It would be bad if he took action against Su Qingxiu. I have to say that Xiao Ran's behavior is quite good. Luo Yushan groaned. Obviously, this little girl defeated his disciple Xiao Luo. Xiao Luo is a 7-star genius. He was also gifted with the great 5 elements destruction magical power, but he was defeated. How is it possible? This little girl should be the super genius prompted by the system. Luo Yushan opened his eyes, used his gifted eyes, and looked at Su Qingxiu. Ding, detection completed. Su Qingxiu, talent 99 stars. The upper limit of talent has been reached, the upper limit of talent has been reached. The peerless genius, the eternal genius, please host accept him as your disciple as soon as possible. A series of system prompts sounded, and the voice was very excited. Luo Yushan was stunned. 99-star talent. Damn. What kind of perversion is this? I'm afraid it's not God's child. In the past few days, he has shared 7 of his disciple Xiao Luo's star talent. I have deeply felt the horror of 7-star talent. It's Su King Xiu, with a 99-star talent. So perverted. You must accept Su King Xiu as your disciple. A firm will flashed in Luo Yushin's eyes. This 99-star Su King Xiu is equivalent to the appearance of a mythical beast cub in the novice village, and he will never let it go. Su King Xiu, your swordsmanship is very strong, but you don't know what swordsmanship is. Your sword is not for being competitive. Do you know what a sword is? Luo Yushin smiled slightly and said inscrutably. His whole body was full of momentum and his eyes were slightly narrowed. It really seemed like that. The corners of Su King Xiu's mouth twitched slightly. Come again. It's still the same routine. Besides asking what a sword is, don't you ask anything else. Su King Xiu took a closer look and secretly thought that it was true. Luo Yushin's soul and body are highly mismatched. Everything does not match, and the behavior seems to lack a kind of coordination. What on earth is this? Why do we always encounter this kind of thing? Su King Xiu was a little confused. Then she looked at Luo Yushin's strength, and then looked at her own strength. After some estimation, if she used the holy art of 10,000 transformations with all her strength and then activated part of the chaos body's power, she could easily kill Luo Yushin instantly. After all, there is only two major differences between the two of them. That's all. What a sword! Luo Yushin took a step forward and asked again. There is a sword in the heart, flying flowers and picking leaves are all swords. That's right. Wait, how do you know? Sure enough, you are exactly the same thing. The owner of this body is not you. A bad smile flashed across Su King Xiu's face. Luo Yushin was shocked, while Xiao Ran was completely confused. Fantasy, the empress was reincarnated as my daughter. Author, Daughter Wrong. Chapter 98. I can't leave you alone. Luo Yushin was shocked. He made a decision in an instant, that is, to kill Su King Xiu. Su King Xiu is a genius of the 99 stars. If he cannot accept a disciple, he must not let it go. What's more important is that this Su King Xiu can actually see his own a time traveler. Luo Yushin's murderous intention condensed almost instantly, and his strength in the middle stage of the immortal realm exploded. At the same time, the great five elements destruction magical power was used directly. The whole sky turned into dark clouds, and Luo Yushin's great five elements divine light fiercely aimed at Su King Xiu. Kill. Sure enough, it was the five elements destruction magical power that you instilled in Xiao Luo. Su King Xiu smiled. Luo Yushin's body and soul were highly mismatched, and he could not exert even 1/10 of his strength. He also used the five elements destruction magical power. Isn't this just asking for death? You must know that among her 10,000 transformations holy technique, there is a secret skill called the 10,000 transformations 5 elements divine light. The so-called holy judgment of 10,000 transformations is highly compatible with the body of chaos. Whether it is swords, axes, cauldrons, or others, they can all be found in the holy Jew of 10,000 transformations. It can be said to be an all-inclusive imperial scripture. One who a 5 elements divine light. Su King Xiu's fingertips moved slightly. All the 5 elements of divine light were mobilized. At the same time, the 5 elements of energy between heaven and earth were mobilized by Su King Xiu. Luo Yushin's great 5 elements of destructive divine light were even sucked in by Su King Xiu. It's outrageous. Then the brilliance in the blink of an eye, Luo Yushin made no sound. On the ground, there was only a dead body. This, King Xiu girl, how is this going? Xiao Ran was shocked. Luo Yushin is the supreme elder. Even he, a strong man in the realm of immortality, couldn't beat Luo Yushin, but he was instantly killed by Su King Xiu. The terrifying 5 elements divine light instantly killed Luo Yushin. What a talent this must be! With the resources of mountains and seas, fight against the enemy and live forever. Well, Xiao Ran sighed. Su Qingshu held the ancestor's token. Even if he killed the Supreme Elder, he couldn't say anything. After all, the matter of dead people is not a matter. After weighing the interests, he didn't want to offend the ancestor for a dead man. What's more, Luo Yushin has really gone too far these days. He often goes to other elders and uses his status to steal disciples. It is your blessing to die in the hands of such a talented person. A ball of flame appeared in Xiao Ran's hand, and he was about to burn Luo Yushin's body. But it was stopped by an unknown force. Then a man in white clothes and snow appeared in front of him, with a mysterious look on his face. Strange bronze mask. Suchanga. Just looking at Suchanga, Xiao Ran felt like he was facing the boundless galaxy, and it was like an abyss with no bottom. Just a back figure was like a sacred mountain that could not be crossed. And that mask, like joy, sometimes sadness, like smile but not smile, just like the appearance of all living beings. Such a terrifying strong man. Father! Su Qingshu shouted in surprise. All the coldness on her pretty face disappeared, and then she jumped up and hugged Suchanga. Even if she embarked on the road of invincibility, the feelings in her heart would not change. Kwai Qingshu, your strength is improving very quickly. Suchanga touched Su Qingshu's little head. Looking at Su Qingshu's determined eyes, he felt a little distressed. But since I have chosen this path, I can only stick to it. Daddy, I miss you. I miss you as well. Suchanga smiled helplessly. For so many days, he had been quietly following Su Qingshu, but Su Qingshu didn't notice it. Xiao Ran was dumbfounded. Where is that super evil genius Su Qingshu just now? What about Su Qingshu, who used the resources of mountains and seas to conquer immortality? Why did she suddenly become a little girl who was pampered by her parents? The contrast is too great. But after thinking about it carefully, with the strength of this strong man in white, even in the realm of immortality, he is no different from a little chicken in his eyes. Head Xiao, Su will explain to you Luo Yushin's matter. Suchanga touched Su Qingshu's little head and wanted to put Su Qingshu down, but no matter what, the little girl refused to let go and held Suchanga so tightly. Senior, you said. Xiao Ran looked serious. I actually felt as nervous as when I was facing my master when I was just practicing. Such monks whose souls and bodies are extremely mismatched can be called extraterrestrial demons, coming from outside the heaven. If you find them, report them to me immediately. After Suchanga finished speaking, it took a moment for Xiao Ran to understand what he meant. Senior, are you saying that the soul is a soul outside of heaven? Xiao Ran asked doubtfully. Then Suchanga nodded. His. Xiao Ran fell into shock. Suchanga nodded slightly, pinched Su Qingshu's face, and then picked up Luo Yushin's body. Inspired by spiritual power. Soon Luo Yushin's body was dissolved. There is only one dead soul left in the sky. See if he looks completely different from Luo Yushin. Suchanga smiled at Xiao Ran. But through the bronze mask, Xiao Ran didn't know Suchanga's expression. He just nodded in shock. Indeed. It's so weird. Search for souls. Suchanga moved his fingertips slightly, and Luo Yushin's soul quickly disappeared and turned into dots of starlight. All Luo Yushin's memories were controlled by Suchanga. Will the system become stronger by accepting disciples? Suchanga frowned slightly, then looked at Su Qingshu, and knew what happened instantly. Su Qingshu's talent cannot be rejected by anyone who wants to accept a disciple. And Su Qingshu is the reincarnation of the empress, and her spiritual consciousness is very powerful, and she can easily. He informed Luo Yushin that something was wrong, and then killed Luo Yushin. Okay, contact me if you have anything, this is my idea. After Suchanga and Xiao Ran added friends, they quickly left with Su Qingshu. The ancestor of all ways, his. Xiao Ran looked at the nickname on the machine and fell into a daze. Half a month passed again. On the border of Zhongzhou, connecting the Northland, the weather here has become increasingly cold, and the roads are covered with snow. Break. Su Qingxiu shouted softly, and her cultivation level directly entered the peak of Xingyu. 5-year-old Xingyu peak. Unparalleled and rare. Su Qingxiu herself was very satisfied. Then she looked proudly at Su Chang'e, who was grilling fish on the ice. "Daddy, how are you? I have reached the peak of Xingyu, am I stronger than you back then?" Su Qingxiu tilted her little face. She had basically challenged all the major forces in Zhongzhou, and there was no one who could defeat them. At the same time, I did not encounter the so-called extraterritorial demons again. It seems that such demons are very rare. Not as good as when I was a father. The corner of Su Chang'e's mouth twitched. Why does this little girl like to compare with herself so much? At that time, she had grown stronger and she didn't know what the realm was. Anyway, she broke through a realm in one day. It is estimated that 1 or 2 months after birth, he will already be in the Xingyu realm. Well, it seems I still need to work harder. Su Qingxiu waved her small fist. Although she is now at the peak of Xingyu, almost no one in the lower world can beat her. Even the strong ones at the peak of longevity are no match for her. This is the terrifying thing about the chaos body. After experiencing the initial crazy devouring, the stamina began to explode. Only after the ascension, the power of the chaos body will be fully revealed. Okay, after eating these barbecues, your father will no longer accompany you. There are some things in the upper world that need to be dealt with. Su Chang'e smiled slightly. He originally thought that it would take at least 3 months for Su Qingxiu to sweep across the lower realm. However, less than 2 months have passed and Su Qingxiu is already invincible. The chaotic body is really terrifying. It is indeed the most powerful creature in history. Strong physique. Okay, then I will break into immortality as soon as possible, and then ascend to the upper realm. Only then will it be truly interesting. Su Qingxiu said seriously. It's true, the genius of the lower world, too bad. Whether it is combat awareness or strength and talent, they are all far behind. What she wants to compete with is the countless emperors in the long history, or the peerless genius who suppressed a heaven, or the self-proclaimed saint or emperor's son and god king who came out of the divine source. Those terrifying characters are the biggest obstacles on the road to invincibility. Eat it? Ah, so delicious. Daddy's craftsmanship has improved. Eat more, I'll leave when I'm full. Then I'll never have enough. Heaven, the temple of the sun. The so-called temple of the sun is actually a huge force that rules the entire sun realm. At the same time, because of the existence of the sun star, the power radiates to the 33 heavens. It is considered a top force. The temple of the sun is located deep in the sun star. On the periphery of the sun star, a weak golden crow opened its eyes. I traveled through time and became a golden crow. Di Shishan frowned. He looked at his body and his eyes were full of disbelief. At the same time, a huge amount of memory poured into his mind, and it took him a while to slowly recover. My name is Di Shishan, but I am just a mixed-blood golden crow. I am the outermost existence of the Sun Temple, equivalent to the sex handyman disciple. A trace of melancholy flashed across Di Shishan's eyes. As a new youth in the 21st century, he kept entering the wrong password when connecting to Wi-Fi, and at the same time, he smashed his phone. As a result, he traveled here. The mixed-blood golden crow even has less than 0.01% blood. Di Shishan sighed. But suddenly he seemed to have thought of something, and his eyes lit up. Di Shishan. Just by virtue of his name, he is no longer immortal. And with his status as a time traveler, he will definitely have a golden finger. Ding, the Wi-Fi download system is loaded. Ding, automatically generate the first Wi-Fi source and bind it to DTI. Ding, When the host is close to Emperor Tai, he can download the talent and strength. The closer the distance, the faster the download speed. The Wi-Fi source is updated every week. His Emperor Shishin's eyes were filled with shock, and then he smiled. Gold finger. And this golden finger is so perverted. As long as you get close, you can download the opponent's talent. Emperor Tai is the holy son of the Sun Temple. At the same time, he possesses the pure bloodline of the Golden Crow Emperor, who has returned to his ancestors. If he copied it all, wouldn't it take off? There is still inspiration. If one day I am bound to this ancestor of 10,000 ways in the Lingji forum, haha. Shishin laughed wildly. He is the real protagonist of this world. Fantasy, the empress was reincarnated as my daughter. Author, Daughter Wrong. Chapter 99. The ancestor of 10,000 Daos actually built an ancient road in the starry sky specifically for the purpose of recruiting disciples. On Emperor Shishin's inspiration, it was the post posted by Suchanga using the ID of the ancestor of all ways. The road to the starry sky, the road to invincibility. Infinite secrets, Emperor's scriptures, treasures, immortal weapons. And all the geniuses in the entire 33 heavens realm. Isn't this specially prepared for our Emperor Shishin? Shishin smiled. No wonder everyone wants to be the protagonist of a time travel novel. It's so cool. It's like God is taking care of him. The 33 heavens domain is so big, and I'm worried about how to get in touch with those geniuses. As a result, it was discovered that there was a Taoist-level figure who wanted to build the starry sky ancient road and bring together all the talented people in the entire heaven. Wasn't this prepared for him? Ding, link Wi-Fi source, downloading, download progress, 0.0001 per day %. Emperor Shishin felt his strength suddenly begin to increase, and he was pleasantly surprised. Even with a download speed of 0.0001%, you can gain such powerful power very quickly. Tai is too strong. Already a saint. And he's so hot. That's why the contrast is so strong. However, Emperor Shishin was not reconciled. As a time traveler, the most standard personality is impatience. Obviously Emperor Shishin can't wait that long. Change a place, the signal here is too poor. Emperor Tai actually practiced at the Fuzang sacred tree, which was a good opportunity. Shishin jumped up, feeling the pressure of blood like the sun. Then he flew towards the Fuzang sacred tree. The strong men of the Golden Crow clan would practice there. Even a rubbish like him would train there every month. You can practice there in one day. Ding, congratulations to the host. You have entered the 4-cell signal range, loading speed 1% per hour. A smile flashed across Shishin's face. It's done. The power in his body is growing wildly, and his bloodline talent is also skyrocketing. 24% will be loaded today. If we find a chance and get closer, maybe today it will be loaded. Become a saint and a strong man in one step. Emperor Tai. I want to challenge you. A trace of cruelty flashed in Shishin's eyes. Anyway, when challenged by the same clan, he will not kill him, he will only be beaten. This is the traditional rule of the Golden Crow clan. Emperor Shishin? Yes, I appreciate your courage. Tai smiled slightly. The two fought. Shishin was knocked to the ground every time, but he quickly challenged again. Ding, loading speed 2% per hour. Haha. Although he was beaten, Emperor Shishin showed a cheerful smile. The upper world, the Sun Star. Suchanga landed outside the Sun Temple. Speaking of which, although the Sun Star has been burning with the true sun fire, it is not just flames like the endless fire field. Instead, there are many miraculous spiritual treasures growing there, making it appear full of vitality. For example, the hibiscus tree and the sun medicine. If I want to gather the stars in the sky and create an ancient road in the starry sky, I have to notify the creatures on it. Alas, I am exhausted. Suchanga came to the Sun Temple just to inform these guys. He wants to use the Sun Star. As for whether he agrees or disagrees, it has nothing to do with him. However, there is still no news about the time traveler. Suchanga sighed. The heaven is very vast, and it is a world with a round sky and a square place. The deep space of the universe is like an arc across the heaven, and the heaven is, although it is flat, as big as the universe is. This heaven is boundless. The continent of heaven is equivalent to a cross-section of the universe. In such a large area, it is too difficult to find dozens of time travelers, even harder than finding a needle in a haystack. That's why he wanted to make good use of this ancient starry sky road. Sun Temple, where is the Sun God Emperor? Suchanga's voice spread throughout the Sun Star. There was a vast coercion in the voice, as if it came from eternity, and countless golden crows fell directly from under the Fuzu sacred tree. The so-called Sun God the Emperor is an emperor who has existed since ancient times. He is close to the Supreme. And he is also a Holy Spirit. Where is the Sun God Emperor? Suchanga's words rang out 3 times. Some weak golden crows and holy spirits of fire had already knelt on the ground and fainted. This is too strong. What kind of character came to Sun Star? At least he is a great emperor. Ditai prostrate directly on the ground. And next to Ditai was Dishishin, who had been challenging him just now. Ding, the signal is extremely strong. Loading speed 10% per second. After a few seconds, the download progress of Emperor Shishin directly reached 100%. Ding, congratulations to the host, you have obtained the ancient Golden Crow divine body. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Golden Crow treasure technique. Congratulations to the host for attaining the realm of Saint. Dishishin's cultivation level skyrocketed, his talent and bloodline also changed, and he became exactly the same cultivation level as Emperor Tai. Ding, bind a new Wi-Fi source, the download speed is 0. Wi-Fi source, Suchanga. Dishishin resisted the pressure and looked up, and saw the figure wearing a bronze mask. The magnificent, white-clothed God Emperor. Once you stop there, it's like you can't help but surrender to the avenue. Hiss. Emperor Shishin was shocked. The Wi-Fi source bound for the second time turned out to be this kind of person. You know, anyone who wears a bronze mask in the fantasy world is either a stupid villain or a super boss. And this figure in white actually called the name of the Sun God Emperor directly. Obviously a super invincible boss. Developed. The loading speed of 0 is okay, but the loading difficulty for this kind of character must be much higher, so you have to take your time. Dishishin's eyes were full of ambition. For this kind of character, as long as he downloads 1%, he can gain powerful power. Suchanga frowned slightly. He had just felt an abnormal energy wave appear beside him. Moreover, among the group of little Jinwu just now, someone broke through the realm. He probably transformed directly from the realm of gods and demons. Saint. So outrageous. After immortality, the 9th level of gods and demons, king level, saint, great saint, holy king, quasi-emperor, emperor level. It would take 1,000 years for an ordinary genius to reach the 9th level of gods and demons. But that little golden crow actually broke through in an instant. Very weird. And, is there a humanoid soul inside the golden crow's body? Is this a time traveler? Suchanga thought in his mind. He secretly recorded the aura of Emperor Shishin. Senior Su, Haoang is here. A great emperor with divine fire all over the sky appeared in front of Suchanga. At the same time, he bowed slightly and used his real name of Haoang. It expressed extremely noble etiquette. Hiss. All the golden crows and fire spirits were stunned. To know, the great emperor is a figure respected by thousands of people. Now he actually bowed his head and saluted to this figure in white. Shocking. Get up, I want to build an ancient road in the starry sky, starting from the two stars of Sun and Taiyan. How about temporarily letting the golden crow and fire spirit tribes leave the sun? Suchanga wore a bronze mask on his face. Even the sun god emperor couldn't see his expression clearly. Senior Su was too polite, but according to Senior Su's instructions, all the creatures of the sun star obeyed. The sun god emperor bowed again and was very grateful. The era he lived in was during the turmoil of the supreme. Strength was everything. If you didn't have strength, you could only get beaten. So he was very surprised that Suchanga was polite to him. This was immortal. Even if he kills all the creatures on the sun star with one palm, no one dares to say anything. He, the sun god emperor, has to honestly hand over the sun star with both hands. Just leave temporarily, the sun star will not change much. Suchanga smiled slightly. He remembered that in ancient times, several great emperors had no hope of reaching the supreme realm, so they chose to become supreme. In order to prepare for a rainy day, they chose hiding places. So those dangerous restricted areas became places for the supreme to rob. Sun star is no exception. The blazing true fire of the sun is a natural barrier for the supremes. The four supremes rule the sun star. It was at that time that the sun god emperor embarked on the path of cultivation and went through 10 years of cultivation. In 10,000 years, he killed 2 supreme beings, beat the other 2 supreme beings half to death, and expelled them from the sun star. He was titled Sun God Emperor, formerly known as Haoang. Little guys, please leave the sun star. Senior Su will use the sun star as the starting point of the ancient road in the starry sky. The sun god Emperor Haoang waved his hand and dismissed these golden crows and fire spirits. Go wherever you like. Just don't stay on the sun star. But Emperor Shishin was not happy. The closer he got, the faster the download speed. The faster. If this leaves the sun star, and then Suchanga refines the starry sky ancient road on the sun star, how long will it take for him to finish downloading it? Emperor Shishin is willing to help Senior here. Shishin suddenly stood up. He said this. After he finished speaking, a trace of regret appeared in his heart. But it doesn't matter, no one can see his system, not even the Yang God Emperor, Suchangji shouldn't be able to tell. Just after passing the system, Emperor Shishin achieved the realm of a saint in almost a few minutes, so he is now very swollen. He is already a little obsessed with this feeling of quickly gaining power. Suchanga's eyes looked at Shishin. Terrifying pressure surged overwhelmingly. Shishin's knees softened and he fell to the ground. He hadn't targeted this time traveler yet, but this guy came directly. Looking for him. That's outrageous. Senior Su. This is a descendant of my Golden Crow clan, this is offensive, please show mercy. The Sun God Emperor glared at Emperor Shishin fiercely. Then he begged for mercy. He felt that the crime did not warrant death, but he was indeed guilty. It would be enough to abolish his cultivation. Death would be a bit too much. Senior Su. To be honest, I am quite proficient in formations. If seniors don't believe me, I can show them to them. Shishin said confidently. He has read a lot of fantasy novels, and there are not many ways to fool people. He once watched the protagonists in those novels fooling the big guys in various ways, and he felt that he could do it too. After fooling around for more than 10 minutes, the download is completed, wouldn't it be wonderful? Oh? How do you say? Suchanga became interested. This time traveler couldn't fool himself with the Bagua array or something like that. Senior, do you know what gossip is? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, the empress was reincarnated as my daughter. Author, daughter wrong wrong. Chapter 100. Emperor Shukden was very confident. If those theories from the past life are brought out, even gods will have to be tricked by him. What is gossip? Fatal question. There have been countless bosses in novels who have used this trick to fool people. Even in a super world like the prehistoric era, you can use gossip to win the favor of the boss. Just a fantasy world. Haha. Emperor Shishin couldn't help but feel proud in his heart. Gossip. Suchanga's lips twitched into a smile. This time traveler still wants to deceive himself? This is an old trick. You are so presumptuous, Emperor Shishin, get back here. The sun god emperor angrily rebuked. It's impossible to say what the consequences will be if you offend an immortal. However, there is a high probability that you will die. Even he, Haoang, does not dare to offend Senior Su. He is a useless golden crow. How dare you? Senior Su, Emperor Shi Jinping's cultivation level is mediocre, and his bloodline talent is not very good, so he receives a lot of cold looks. He wants to stand out too much. Please forgive me, Senior Su. The sun god emperor bowed and explained. Very humble. It doesn't matter, I happen to be interested. Suchanga smiled slightly. Little Jin Wuo, what do you want to say? If it's gossip, don't show it off. Suchanga looked at Emperor Shishin quietly. His aura was unpredictable, and the bronze mask on his face seemed to be a smile but not a smile, which put great pressure on Emperor Shishin. A drop of cold sweat dropped from Shishin's forehead. What's going on? Listening to Suchanga's tone, he seems to know the gossip. Why are the tried and tested routines of the senior time travelers different when he comes here? No. This world, there may be gossip, but you will never think of things like formations. Often those simple formations in ancient times can explode with powerful power in the fantasy world. So Emperor Shishin cleared his throat and said, since seniors are familiar with gossip, then Emperor Shishin will tell something different. Senior, do you know the long snake formation? Does Senior know about the Zaiwa 7 stars array? Or use the 4 peerless swords to combine with the formation diagram to construct the immortal killing sword formation? As soon as Shishin finished speaking, the sun god emperor took action directly and suppressed Shishin to the ground, crushing all his bones into powder. Damn it! The sun god emperor feels that he is not well. There is such a useless subordinate. Zeus Yen. How can you have the courage to say it out loud? Don't you know that this person in front of you is an immortal? Don't you know that Xianlu is it the ultimate dream pursued by countless great emperors and supreme beings for tens of millions of years? You. Shishin wanted to curse, but he held it back. He is in the realm of a saint and is definitely no match for a great emperor. But in the future, when he becomes the great emperor, he will definitely kill the sun god emperor to avenge today's revenge. Senior. What I said is real. I can show you the simplest one-word long snake formation. Shishin used his golden crow bloodline to directly recover from his injuries and stood up forcefully. Suchanga fell silent. Is there something wrong with his mind, or is there something wrong with this time traveler's mind? Even if you're just trying to fool people, why don't you come up with something high-end to fool people? A long snake formation, just swing it wherever you want, isn't it? Wait, how did you recover from your injury? And your strength has actually reached the holy realm. The sun god emperor suddenly narrowed his eyes. He remembered clearly that this Emperor Shishin was just a loser. However, the Golden Crow clan did not have the tradition of abandoning its people, so this loser remained in the Golden Crow clan and the Fire Spirit clan. I didn't bother to interfere. Why did I suddenly become a saint now? And my bloodline was extremely pure, comparable to the Golden Crow Emperor back then. You are not Shakti, who are you? The Sun God Emperor squinted his eyes. The Golden Crow Emperor was killed by the Supreme, so he has always taken good care of the Golden Crow clan. But now, this little Golden Crow is full of weirdness. The Sun God Emperor's terrifying consciousness swept across, and I could tell something was wrong with this little Golden Crow. Inside the body of the Golden Crow, there was actually a human soul. What? Isn't Ishikeku Tien? What's happening here? All the members of the Sun Temple were stunned. The spiritual thoughts of countless quasi-emperors and holy kings were wandering around, detecting the soul of Emperor Shishin. Everyone discovered something strange. It turned out to be the soul of a human race. How is this going? The powerful quasi-emperor was shocked. This kind of thing has never happened in all eternity. Many holy kings and even the great sage saw the strangeness of Emperor Shishin. I am Emperor Shakti. Shishin defended. Cold sweat dripped continuously, and he was completely panicked. He never expected that a great emperor could easily see that he was a time traveler. And not only the great emperor, even the great holy capital you can see his identity as a time traveler. System. What to do? System. Don't pretend to be dead. Shishin frantically called for his system in his heart. Who the hell is pretending to be dead? You too. The system started spraying directly. Emperor Shishin was stupid. What is going on? What a cheating system. My special code is going to be tricked to death by you. Why didn't you tell me that someone could figure out my identity as a time traveler? Shishin was completely desperate. He had read too many cerebral palsy novels before. Those time travelers, who traveled to Sanking to be apprentices, could not even recognize that they were time travelers. So he naturally thought that it was just a fantasy world and no one could discover his identity. Never even considered such a thing. You spray again. This system is a Wi-Fi download system. As long as you are patient, you can copy the cultivation level of Suchanga, the Taoist ancestor in front of you. While he is in seclusion, can you just find a place to sit and download secretly? WTF. You have to jump out and show off. Get out. I won't accompany you anymore. I have such an invincible golden finger and let you, a loser, act like this. Get out. After the system unified violently, it was directly separated from Emperor Shishin. Then it turned into a purple gold light ball and escaped towards the edge of the heaven. As long as he leaves the heaven, even Suchanga cannot catch him. But interesting. Suchanga smiled slightly. He stared at the purple gold brilliance. One glance. As if he traveled from eternity to the present, the purple gold light ball returned directly to its original position, and was caught in his hand. Is this the essence of the system? It's full of the atmosphere of another world. Suchanga smiled slightly. Then he took out a jade bottle made of Jushin Swanyu and locked the system in. With a slight movement of his fingertips, Emperor Shishin became silent. Thank you, Senior Su. If Senior Su hadn't come here, we might still never have discovered this guy's true identity. The Sun God Emperor bowed slightly. His eyes were looking at the purple gold jade bottle. You can call this kind of strange soul extraterrestrial demon. This is a soul from outside the heaven. If it is not restricted, it may cause damage to the heaven. Therefore, if you see such a time traveler, you must kill it. After Suchanga finished speaking, all the members of the Sun Temple had expressions of enlightenment. Although they didn't understand, they felt so powerful. Senior, could it be said that the purpose of building the Starry Sky Ancient Road was to suppress these travelers? The Sun God Emperor asked tentatively. Suchanga looked at the Sun God Emperor and gave a puzzled hum. In an instant, the expression of the Sun God Emperor changed drastically. It's Hoang who talks too much, Senior, please forgive me. The Sun God Emperor saluted quickly. He knew that he had violated a taboo. How could he guess the plans of such a person? It doesn't matter, it's good to know. I will go to the moon palace again. You can lead the sun temple and leave the sun star quickly. Suchanga waved his hand. Among all the stars, only the sun star and the moon palace have living beings. The other stars will send down their power and select monks. For example, there was an emperor named Sirius. He inherited the power of Sirius. Inherit and fight your way to the throne of the great emperor. Senior, don't worry, Haoang will definitely do this well. The sun god emperor said respectfully. The person in front of me, but countless great emperors have been pursuing the hope of exploration for millions of years. From eternity to ancient times, and now to the present, aren't countless great emperors and even supreme beings all pursuing the path to immortality? Now a true immortal appears, everyone can't calm down. Lunar star, moon palace. Suchanga landed outside the moon palace, holding a purple gold jade bottle in his hand. The original color of the jade bottle is pure white, but there is a purple gold light group in it. What are you? Why enter heaven? Suchanga opened the jade bottle and imprisoned the purple light group in his hand with spiritual power. This system, how can this system exist that you can understand? This Wi-Fi download system is still a bit tough. In his opinion, Suchanga definitely wants to obtain certain information, so it is impossible to kill him. Moreover, he is just a ball of light, an invisible substance, and it is difficult to kill. Xian, a good thing like Tianbao Jade can only trap him. Are you part of the spiritual mind of a strong person from outside the territory? How do you know? The system was shocked. The corners of Suchanga's mouth twitched slightly. He just said it casually. I have read many conspiracy theory novels in my previous life. Among them, the most reasonable explanation for the system is that the system is the mind of a certain expert, and the system was created to conquer other worlds. I originally wanted to scare this purple gold light group. I didn't expect this guy to admit it directly. I naturally know that, if it goes as expected, there will be a system in this moon palace, and there will be traversers, right? Hiss, what are you doing? Are you trying to tell me how I know? How do you know I want to say this? Suchanga sighed. Another piece of news was scammed. Then the spiritual power was activated, directly destroying this purple gold light group. Logically speaking, a strong person who can build a system should not have such a low IQ. There is only one explanation. The spiritual thoughts differentiated by the strong man become a system that cannot be controlled by himself. Otherwise, he would never be so retarded. Unexpectedly, there are also time travelers in the moon palace. Fantasy, the empress was reincarnated as my daughter. Author, Daughter Wrong. Chapter 101. At the same time, in the moon palace, an extremely handsome young man was visiting the lord of the moon palace. The target is naturally Zio, the goddess of the moon palace. Zio's reputation spread all over the world, and no one disliked her, and this young man was no exception. In the main hall of the moon palace, the bright moonlight shines brightly. If the moon palace must be described in 2 words, it would be holy. Moreover, there are only women in the moon palace, and there is no sign of men at all. The appearance of young man Lang Xiushan shocked the entire moon palace. Even the palace lord personally received him. Palace Master Zhao, this is Su Chu, the law enforcement elder of our Dao Palace, and this is Yu Jin, the law enforcement elder. Young man Lang Xiushan smiled slightly. Behind him, there are 2 super strong men in the godless realm. If Suchanga were here, he would definitely scream, because these 2 strong men in the godless realm are the name among the 3 kingdoms in the past life. Hiss, Zhao met the 2 elders. Zhao, the master of the moon palace, bowed slightly. His heart was full of shock. Is the strength of this Dao palace so terrifying? A strong man in the godless realm can only be a law enforcement elder. Haha, we are still far behind Dao ancestor, Fairy Zhao need not be so shocked. Yujin spoke calmly. Su Chu also echoed, yes, we are far behind, but young Master Su Tian is the son of the master of the Dao Palace and has inherited the powerful talent of the Dao ancestor. Only he can rival the Dao ancestor in the future. The young man Lang Xiushan smiled proudly. A month ago, he traveled to this world. He was panicked at first, but then he got the summoning system. And he was surprised to find that this world turned out to be from a novel he had read. World. He couldn't remember the specific plot, but he remembered that the protagonist Suchanga in the novel was indifferent to worldly affairs and very awesome. He simply pretended to be Suchanga's son and said that he was the heir of the Taoist palace. So delicious. Whenever the word Suchanga is mentioned, all the forces respect him. The system tasks were completed very quickly, and even the super bodyguards from the godless realm were summoned. Now Su Tian was wondering if he didn't need to care about that bullshit Suchanga. Since he had been pretending that there was a big force behind him, he would just fake it and create a big force himself. Moon Palace is his first step. If you can fool Yugong into your own camp, not only will your strength skyrocket, but you will also not have to worry about women in the future, and then deceive the Sun Temple. Capturing the Sun and Taiyan stars is his first small goal. Of course, he still has to slowly show off and deceive, otherwise if a strong man attacks him, his two bodyguards in the godless realm will really not be enough to watch. After all, there are too many bosses in this world without God. If his identity as a time traveler is exposed, he will definitely die. Zhao nodded, a hint of shock flashed in her eyes. Indeed, descendants of Senior Suchanga. He has a majestic appearance, fluttering white clothes, and speaks very well, but I don't know what he is doing here. Behind Zhao, Zhao frowned, with a trace of imperceptible confusion flashing in her eyes. Zhao was very curious about Su Tian's identity. Suchanga's son? Don't do it. She was completely confused. Suchanga had a relationship with her back then. Although she didn't know much about Suchanga's strength, she was certain that Suchanga was only 22 years old. How could he have such an old son at such an age? I'm sorry. This Su Tian is definitely a fake. Zhao was determined, and then looked at Su Tian's performance coldly. I came here this time to develop the power of the Taoist Palace and discuss with Fairy Zhao whether I can lead the Moon Palace to join my Taoist Palace, Su. Su Tian's eyes were fiery. As if he had great ambitions in his chest, he actually started his passionate speech. Fairy Zhao. Fairies. Su Tian has lived in the shadow of his father since he was a child. No matter what Su does, there is an incomparable gap between him and his father. Su Tian said with tears in his eyes. Many fairies in the Moon Palace nodded. If they were the daughters of Senior Su, they would really be in despair. My father will be like a tall mountain that can never be crossed. No matter how hard they try. Even if I try my whole life, I still can't touch the solace of Suchanga's feet. But on the day he came of age, Su figured it out. Su wanted to establish a force far beyond the Dao Palace. Really overcome the barrier in your heart. These two law enforcement elders were moved by Su and voluntarily joined Su Dao Palace. Su Tian pointed at Su Chu and Yujin who were summoned by him. He was very proud of himself. These fairies must have been fooled by him. When they all joined the Dao Palace and became his subordinates, they slowly developed loyalty. Wouldn't it be possible to enjoy the blessings of the same people? Haha. Su Tian felt that he was really a genius. Using Suchanga's name, it will be smooth sailing. This is the life of a time traveler, leisurely and contented, with no shortage of women and strong men. Fellow Daoist Su is very righteous. Just imagine, if Zhao becomes Senior Su's daughter, she probably won't be able to get out of this shadow for the rest of her life. Zhao sighed, and then said with slight admiration, it's great that fellow Daoist Su can come out and develop and build his own power. But our moon palace has never seen the lunar star for thousands of years, and we will not unite with any forces. Fellow deists Su, I'm sorry. Zhao apologized. The patriarch of Moon Palace, this is how Grand Master's milk is prescribed. Until now, no one has broken this iron law. People in the Moon Palace maintain the rising and setting of the moon, and are not allowed to interfere with the current situation in the heaven, let alone join forces with the forces in the heaven. So even the heavenly palace and the moon palace did not join. All right. Su Tian showed some regrets. But a touch of cruelty flashed in his eyes. If you don't drink the toast, you will be punished with a drink. If the moon palace were not a group of beautiful fairies, he would not be tempted by this force at all, he would just kill them and occupy the lunar star and be done with it. Hold it. We must win the moon palace. Fairies with noble temperament, wait until you come under my command, and see how I enjoy you. Su Tian thought to himself. But his face was full of regret. Then Su Tian had a thought in his mind, and Su Chu behind him spoke. Fairy Zhao, since the moon palace cannot join the Dao palace, we don't force it. The young master is in the right age for marriage, so why not marry Fairy Zhao? It can be regarded as a beautiful thing. If Daozu knew about it, he would probably be very happy. Su Chu said with a smile. 2. Zhao. Zhao nodded. It's really exciting. After all, he is the son of Senior Suchanga. Senior Suchanga is an immortal who can evaporate the entire sea of chaos in an instant. If the moon palace can be on this list, it will be worry-free for millions of years to come. Even the patriarch would forgive her. The most important thing is that for Zhao, after joining Dao Palace, U Palace becomes a subsidiary force, and marriage, the Moon Palace is still an independent force, and she is still the palace owner. I reject. 11 Yu shook her head mercilessly. She felt that this Su Tian was full of weirdness. He acted like a puppet on strings. Many times, his body would undergo various subtle movements that were beyond his control. The temperament you put on seems extremely childish. Such an idiot pretends to be Senior Su's son. He didn't even urinate and take pictures of what he looked like. Zhao wanted to use her spiritual sense to check, but there were 2 godless realms guarding here, so she couldn't use her spiritual sense to check. Anyway, this Su Tian is just a fake. Zhao, you should think about the palace. I haven't settled the accounts with you for escaping from the Moon Palace 3 years ago. Zhao's beautiful eyes opened slightly and she glared at Zhao. 3 years ago, Zhao escaped from the Moon Palace for no reason and appeared in various ruins and caves in the upper realm. There were even rumors that she was having an affair with a man. She has not found Zhao yet. What's going on? I reject. Zhao snorted coldly. Marriage between forces is the most annoying. If it doesn't work, she will directly use the Changa Bang. Although sometimes the internal fighting in the Changa Bang is serious, if sisters have such a problem of being forced to marry, dozens of saints and maidens will come to your door instantly. Their sovereignty belongs to Suchanga. A gloom flashed in Su Tian's eyes. Zhao actually rejected him. And the eyes she looked at him were full of undisguised contempt. That's outrageous. This bastard woman. Fairy Zhao, you have to think carefully. Su's father is the famous ancestor of all the ways on the forum. Su Tian threatened without concealment. He was followed by 2 strong men in the godless realm. Even if he tried hard, Yu Gong couldn't resist. He instantly transformed into a brainless protagonist with a super low IQ. Zhao glanced at Su Tian with some pity. How pitiful. Like a clown. In her whole life, this was really the first time she saw someone pretending to be someone else's son. So confused. Why, Fairy Zhao, was she impressed by Su? Su Tian smiled confidently. No matter when, as long as he moves out of Suchanga and the Dao Palace, all the problems will be solved. He regrets it now. He should have finished the novel at that time, otherwise there would be more things to take advantage of. Brother Su! Zio suddenly cried out in surprise. Her eyes were fixed on a figure at the gate of the Moon Palace. The figure was as rich as jade, like a white-clothed immortal traveling in the mortal world. Although there was a strange bronze mask on his face, Zio recognized it at a glance. Isn't this Suchanga? Haha, Fairy Zio, there is no need to call me brother, call me husband. Sutyen thought 11U was calling him, so he said confidently. He didn't notice the person coming behind him at all. Young master, young master. Yujin pulled Sutyen's arm. Do what? A strong man is coming. So what? Su is the son of Tao ancestor, and you are strong men in the godless realm. You are afraid of what others will do. Sutyen snorted coldly. Then he slowly turned around, wanting to see who was coming and whether he wanted to stand up for Yugong. He just turned around. When Sutyen saw the bronze mask, he stood stunned on the spot as if struck by thunder.